What if the story we've been told about wrinkles is incomplete? For decades, we've been told that wrinkles are simply the price of time, a natural consequence of birthdays accumulating on the calendar. Dermatology textbooks describe the gradual thinning of the dermis, the breakdown of collagen fibers, the loss of elastin, the scaffolding that keeps our skin smooth and resilient. But modern biology is beginning to reveal something far more fascinating. Wrinkles are not just marks of time, they are signals of biology. They reflect the dynamic conversation between our genes, our blood vessels, our immune system, and even the trillions of microbes that live on our skin. In other words, wrinkles are not simply cosmetic. They are the visible surface of deeper biological processes that science now shows we can influence. When researchers at institutions like Harvard Medical School and the National Institutes of Health began studying the aging of skin at the molecular level, they discovered something extraordinary. The same biological systems that protect us from disease angiogenesis, regeneration, immune defense, and cellular repair are also responsible for how our skin ages. And here's the remarkable part. When these systems are supported, skin can repair itself. Collagen production can increase. Microcirculation can improve. Inflammation can quiet down. In other words, the biology of aging skin is far more flexible than we once believed. So today, I want to share with you 7 secrets, not cosmetic tricks, not miracle creams, but biological strategies, mechanisms rooted in real science that influence how our skin ages from the inside out. Some of these insights come from nutritional science, others from vascular biology, some from the surprising role of sleep, stress, and cellular energy, and many of them are things most dermatology visits simply don't have time to discuss, because they go deeper than the surface. They explore the biology of longevity itself. Before we dive in, do not forget to hit that like button if this content resonates with you, and subscribe so you never miss our deep dives into natural health solutions. And we would love to know where our amazing community spans. Drop your city or country in the comments below. Now let's begin exploring the deeper biology behind wrinkles and how we can begin to influence it. Skin, at its most fundamental level, is an architectural masterpiece. Beneath the surface lies a structural framework built primarily from collagen, a protein that acts much like the steel beams of a skyscraper. When this framework is strong and abundant, the skin appears smooth, resilient, and elastic. When it weakens, the surface begins to fold, much like fabric losing its internal support. For many years, the cosmetic industry tried to solve this problem from the outside. Creams infused with collagen promise smoother skin. Yet here is a fascinating biological truth. Collagen molecules are far too large to penetrate deeply into the skin. Applying them topically is a bit like laying bricks on the roof of a house when the foundation beneath is crumbling. The real question then becomes this: how do we stimulate the body to build its own collagen again? Our bodies are constantly producing collagen through specialized cells called fibroblasts. But as we age, those fibroblasts become less active. Their signals grow quieter, their productivity slows, and the collagen matrix gradually thins. However, modern research has shown that these cells are far from permanently dormant. They are responsive. They listen to biochemical cues from our bloodstream, our immune system, and even the nutrients we consume. One of the most powerful triggers for collagen production is vitamin C. It is not simply a vitamin. It is an essential cofactor in the enzymatic reactions that stabilize collagen fibers. Without sufficient vitamin C, collagen strands cannot form properly. This is why early sailors suffering from scurvy, a disease caused by severe vitamin C deficiency, developed fragile skin and bleeding gums. But the story becomes even more interesting. Certain plant compounds, known as polyphenols, appear to amplify collagen synthesis by protecting fibroblasts from oxidative stress. Foods such as berries, green tea, and pomegranates contain these molecules in abundance. In laboratory studies, researchers have observed that polyphenols help shield collagen fibers from degradation caused by ultraviolet radiation and inflammation. Scientists at Harvard Medical School have also explored how circulation plays a role. Fibroblasts require oxygen and amino acids, the building blocks of proteins, to construct collagen. Without healthy microcirculation delivering these materials, the skin's rebuilding process slows dramatically. So the first secret to reducing wrinkles is not a cream, it is nourishment. Foods rich in vitamin C, citrus fruits, bell peppers, kiwi, and leafy greens provide the biochemical spark that collagen enzymes require. Meanwhile, protein sources supply glycine, proline, and lysine, the amino acids that form collagen's structural backbone. Think of it as giving your skin a construction crew, raw materials, and an energy supply all at once. Have you ever noticed how the skin can look dull and fragile during periods of poor nutrition or chronic stress? That is not coincidence. It is biology reflecting a shortage of the very resources needed for repair. The exciting part is that this process can change surprisingly quickly. Fibroblasts respond to signals within days or weeks when the right nutrients return to circulation, which raises a deeper question worth reflecting on. What if the future of youthful skin is less about what we apply to the surface and more about how we nourish the systems beneath it? If collagen is the architecture of the skin, then blood vessels are its supply lines. Every cell responsible for maintaining youthful skin fibroblasts, immune cells, stem-like progenitor cells depends on a steady stream of oxygen and nutrients delivered through microscopic blood vessels called capillaries. These vessels are so small that several could fit within the width of a human hair, yet they are responsible for sustaining the vitality of every square millimeter of our skin. And here is where a fascinating biological principle comes into play: angiogenesis, the process by which the body grows new blood vessels. For many years, angiogenesis was primarily studied in the context of diseases like cancer. But researchers later discovered that this same mechanism is essential for healing wounds, repairing tissues, and maintaining healthy organs, including the skin. At Harvard Medical School, scientists studying vascular biology found that healthy angiogenesis supports tissue regeneration by ensuring that cells receive the oxygen and nutrients they need to function optimally. When this system declines, tissues begin to age more rapidly. Think of your skin like a garden. You can plant the richest soil and the strongest seeds, but without irrigation, nothing flourishes. In the same way, collagen-building cells cannot thrive without the circulation that nourishes them. As we age, the density of microblood vessels in the skin naturally decreases. Blood flow slows, oxygen delivery declines, and the skin's repair processes begin to lose momentum. This contributes to dryness, dullness, slower healing, and yes, the gradual deepening of wrinkles. But here's the encouraging discovery. Certain foods and lifestyle behaviors appear to support healthy angiogenesis, encouraging the growth and resilience of these tiny vascular networks. For example, plant compounds known as flavonoids have been shown to stimulate vascular health. Foods like dark chocolate with high cocoa content, berries, citrus fruits, and green tea contain flavonoids that support the signaling pathways involved in blood vessel growth and repair. In fact, studies supported by the National Institutes of Health have observed improved endothelial function, the health of blood vessel linings, in people who regularly consume flavonoid-rich diets. Exercise also plays a surprisingly powerful role. When we engage in moderate physical activity, our muscles release biochemical signals that encourage angiogenesis throughout the body. Over time, this expands our capillary networks, improving circulation not just to the heart and brain, but also to the skin. Have you ever noticed that subtle glow people often have after a brisk walk or a workout? That glow is not merely cosmetic. It is blood flow increasing through newly activated capillaries, delivering oxygen and nutrients to skin cells. Now imagine this effect accumulating over months and years. Better circulation means more resources for fibroblasts to build collagen, more immune surveillance to remove damaged cells, and more efficient removal of metabolic waste that can contribute to inflammation. So the second secret to reducing wrinkles is surprisingly simple. Support your body's vascular health. Eat foods rich in natural flavonoids. Move your body regularly. Prioritize circulation. And if this insight is helping you see skin health in a new light, consider subscribing to the channel, because these biological discoveries are just the beginning of what we can learn about optimizing the body from the inside out. The more we understand the systems beneath the surface, the more empowered we become to work with our biology rather than against it. If collagen forms the structure of the skin and blood vessels deliver its nourishment, there is another force that quietly determines how long that structure survives. Inflammation, not the kind we notice when we cut a finger or sprain an ankle. That type of inflammation is acute, purposeful, and healing. The body sends immune cells to repair damage, then the signal fades. But modern biology has identified another form, something far subtler and far more persistent. Scientists often call it inflammaging. This term describes a slow, chronic state of low-grade inflammation that quietly accumulates in the body over years and decades. It is now considered one of the central biological drivers of aging, influencing everything from cardiovascular disease to neurodegeneration and, very visibly, the aging of the skin. Researchers at the National Institutes of Health have shown that inflammatory signaling molecules, particularly cytokines, activate enzymes known as matrix metalloproteinases. These enzymes have one job: They break down collagen. Imagine spending years constructing a beautiful brick wall, only to have a team of microscopic demolition workers slowly removing the bricks one by one. That is essentially what chronic inflammation does to the skin's collagen matrix. What makes this especially fascinating is how many everyday factors influence this inflammatory dial. Ultraviolet radiation from sunlight is one. Air pollution is another. Poor sleep, psychological stress, ultra-processed diets, and even chronic dehydration can amplify inflammatory signals throughout the body. In dermatology clinics, we often focus on topical protection sunscreens, serums, retinoids. These can certainly help. But inflammation is not confined to the skin's surface. It originates deep within systemic biology. For example, diets high in refined carbohydrates and processed oils tend to elevate inflammatory markers in the bloodstream. These signals travel everywhere the blood flows, including the skin. On the other hand, certain foods appear to quiet these inflammatory pathways remarkably well. Fatty fish, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, salmon, sardines, mackerel, contain molecules that actively resolve inflammation. Leafy greens, turmeric, extra virgin olive oil, and colorful vegetables are packed with antioxidants that neutralize reactive oxygen species before they can trigger inflammatory cascades. In fact, a large body of research on the Mediterranean dietary pattern, studied extensively at institutions such as Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, shows reduced inflammatory biomarkers in individuals who follow this style of eating. But diet is only one lever. Stress biology also plays a profound role. When we live in a constant state of psychological stress, our bodies release cortisol and other stress hormones designed for short-term survival. Over time, these signals can dysregulate immune function and elevate inflammatory activity throughout the body. Have you ever noticed how the skin often looks more tired, dull, or reactive during periods of chronic stress? That observation is not superficial. It reflects real biochemical signals moving through the immune system and affecting skin physiology. So the third secret to reducing wrinkles is not hidden in a bottle. It is learning how to lower the body's background level of inflammation. This means nourishing the body with anti-inflammatory foods, protecting the skin from excessive environmental stress, prioritizing restorative sleep, and creating moments in our day where the nervous system can shift from survival mode into repair mode. Because when inflammation quiets, something remarkable happens. The body's repair systems, collagen synthesis, cellular renewal, vascular health begin to function with far greater efficiency, and the skin reflects that internal harmony. If we could shrink ourselves down to the microscopic level and look at the surface of our skin, what we would see might surprise us. It would not appear smooth or empty. Instead, it would resemble a vast and bustling ecosystem, a living landscape populated by trillions of microscopic organisms. Bacteria, fungi, and viruses form complex communities across every inch of our skin. Together, they create what scientists call the skin microbiome. For decades, microbes were viewed primarily as threats to eliminate. Antibacterial soaps, aggressive cleansers, and sterilizing products promised perfectly clean skin. But modern biology has radically changed this perspective. Researchers at Stanford University and the National Institutes of Health have discovered that many of these microbes are not enemies at all. In fact, they function more like protective partners, forming a defensive shield that helps regulate inflammation, maintain hydration, and repair the skin barrier. Think of the skin microbiome as a biological rainforest. In a healthy rainforest, thousands of species coexist in balance, each contributing to the stability of the ecosystem. Remove too many species, and the system becomes fragile. Invasive organisms move in, soil erodes, the entire landscape changes. The same principle applies to the skin. When the microbiome is balanced, beneficial microbes produce molecules that suppress harmful bacteria and calm inflammatory signals. They help regulate the skin's pH, strengthen the barrier that keeps moisture in, and even influence how immune cells respond to environmental stress. But when this ecosystem becomes disrupted through over-cleansing, harsh chemicals, excessive antibiotics, or chronic stress, the balance shifts. Inflammation increases, barrier function weakens, moisture escapes more easily from the skin, and over time, these subtle changes accelerate the processes that contribute to wrinkles and skin aging. What makes this discovery so fascinating is that protecting the microbiome often involves doing less, not more. Gentle cleansing instead of aggressive scrubbing, avoiding unnecessary antibacterial products that wipe out beneficial microbes, allowing the skin's natural oils, which act as nourishment for friendly bacteria, to remain in healthy balance. Diet may also influence the skin microbiome in surprising ways. The gut microbiome and skin microbiome communicate through immune signaling and metabolic pathways, a connection often referred to as the gut-skin axis. Foods rich in fiber, fermented foods like yogurt or kimchi, and plant-based nutrients help cultivate a diverse microbial community in the gut. In turn, this diversity influences immune signals that affect the skin. Have you ever noticed how digestive health often seems reflected in the skin's clarity and resilience? Science is beginning to explain why. Your microbiome is not just a passenger on your skin. It is an active participant in your body's defense, repair, and aging processes. So the fourth secret to reducing wrinkles is surprisingly gentle. Protect the ecosystem living on your skin. Treat it like a living environment rather than a battlefield. Choose skincare products that support barrier health. Avoid stripping the skin unnecessarily. Nourish your body with foods that promote microbial diversity. And if this perspective on skin biology is opening new doors of curiosity for you, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. These conversations are part of a larger exploration into how our bodies function as interconnected ecosystems. Because once we understand that our health is a partnership between human cells and microbial allies, we begin to care for our bodies with far greater wisdom. Imagine leaving a slice of bread in a toaster just a little too long. The soft surface gradually darkens, hardens, and becomes brittle. Chemically, what you are seeing is a reaction between sugars and proteins exposed to heat a process that creates what scientists call advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. Now here is the surprising part. A similar reaction can occur inside the human body, not with bread, but with our tissues. When excess sugar circulates in the bloodstream, it can attach itself to proteins such as collagen and elastin. Over time, these sugar-protein bonds form rigid crosslinks that stiffen the very fibers responsible for keeping the skin supple. Researchers refer to this as glycation, and its effects are remarkably similar to what happens in that over-toasted piece of bread. Flexible proteins become brittle, elastic tissues lose their resilience, and the skin begins to form deeper, more persistent wrinkles. Scientists studying aging biology at the National Institutes of Health have identified glycation as one of the key biochemical drivers of tissue aging throughout the body. Collagen that has been glycated becomes less capable of repairing itself and more vulnerable to oxidative damage. Think of collagen fibers as tiny springs woven through the skin. When those springs are fresh and flexible, they absorb mechanical stress. Easily smiling, squinting, or laughing does not leave a lasting mark. But when glycation stiffens those springs, the same movements begin to etch lines into the surface. What makes glycation particularly relevant today is the modern diet. Highly refined carbohydrates, sugary beverages, and ultra-processed foods create frequent spikes in blood glucose. Each spike increases the probability that glucose molecules will bind to proteins throughout the body. Over years, this biochemical caramelization accumulates in tissues, including the skin. Interestingly, dermatologists sometimes refer to this phenomenon informally as sugar sag, but the story is not entirely bleak. Our bodies possess defense systems that can slow glycation and neutralize some of its damaging byproducts. Antioxidants found in colorful fruits and vegetables help counteract oxidative stress that amplifies glycation damage. Compounds in spices such as cinnamon and turmeric appear to influence glucose metabolism and inflammatory signaling. Even more powerful is something remarkably simple: stabilizing blood sugar levels. When meals contain balanced amounts of fiber, protein, and healthy fats, glucose enters the bloodstream more gradually. This reduces sharp spikes that drive glycation reactions. For example, compare two breakfasts. One consists of a sugary pastry and sweetened coffee. Blood glucose rises rapidly, insulin surges, and glycation reactions are more likely to occur. The other includes eggs, berries, nuts, and whole grains. The same total calories may be present, but the metabolic response is slower and more stable. The difference may seem subtle in the moment. Yet over thousands of meals across a lifetime, the biochemical consequences can become visible on the skin. Have you ever noticed how individuals with consistently balanced diets often seem to maintain skin elasticity longer as they age? Part of that resilience may be explained by lower levels of glycation, quietly preserving their collagen structure. So the fifth secret to reducing wrinkles is not a cosmetic intervention. It is metabolic awareness. Favor whole foods that maintain steady blood sugar. Reduce excess refined sugars. Pair carbohydrates with fiber and protein to slow absorption. These small decisions influence the chemical environment surrounding your collagen fibers every single day. And over time, they help preserve the flexibility that youthful skin depends on. Every night, something extraordinary happens inside the human body. As we drift into sleep, the brain slows its electrical rhythms, the muscles relax, and consciousness recedes into the background. Yet beneath this stillness, biology becomes astonishingly active. Hormones pulse through the bloodstream, immune cells reorganize, damaged proteins are dismantled, and DNA repair enzymes begin correcting errors accumulated during the day. Sleep, in many ways, is the body's most sophisticated repair laboratory, and the skin is one of its primary beneficiaries. During deep sleep, the body releases growth hormone, a powerful signal that stimulates cellular regeneration and protein synthesis. Among the proteins rebuilt during this process is collagen, the very framework that supports smooth, resilient skin. When sleep is abundant and restorative, fibroblast cells receive the signals and energy they need to rebuild the collagen matrix. Microdamage from sunlight, pollution, and daily facial expressions begins to repair itself. But when sleep becomes fragmented or chronically shortened, that nightly maintenance cycle is interrupted. Researchers studying sleep biology at University of California, San Francisco have found that insufficient sleep elevates stress hormones such as cortisol, which in turn increases inflammatory signaling and accelerates collagen breakdown. At the same time, reduced growth hormone release slows the skin's ability to regenerate. The result is a double biological challenge: more damage and less repair. Over time, the skin becomes thinner, less elastic, and more prone to wrinkles. There is also another fascinating mechanism at work. While we sleep, the body activates detoxification pathways that help clear reactive oxygen species unstable molecules generated by ultraviolet radiation, pollution, and normal metabolism. These molecules can damage lipids, proteins, and DNA within skin cells if they accumulate unchecked. In other words, sleep allows the body to take out the biochemical trash generated during the day. When this cleanup process is shortened night after night, oxidative stress gradually builds in the tissues, accelerating visible signs of aging. Have you ever noticed how even a single night of poor sleep can leave the skin looking dull or tired the next morning? That is the visible hint of a deeper biological process. Now imagine the opposite scenario. Imagine consistently giving your body 7 to 8 hours of high-quality sleep. Night after night, your cells enter their repair cycles. Hormonal rhythms remain synchronized. Inflammation quiets. Circulation improves. Over months and years, that consistency compounds into stronger tissue integrity, including healthier skin. So the sixth secret to reducing wrinkles is something profoundly simple yet deeply biological. Protect your sleep as if it were medicine. Create an environment that supports circadian rhythm, dim lights in the evening, reduce exposure to screens before bedtime, maintain a consistent sleep schedule whenever possible. Even small habits like stepping outside into natural morning light can help anchor the body's internal clock. Because sleep is not merely rest. It is the moment when your biology resets. And when we begin to see sleep through that lens as a nightly investment in cellular renewal, it becomes clear that the path to healthier skin may begin long before any morning skincare routine. Which brings us to the larger perspective behind all 6 of these secrets. In the final chapter, we will step back and see how these biological systems connect and how understanding them reshapes the way we think about aging, resilience, and the remarkable potential of the human body. Hit that like button so more people can discover this information. Subscribe so you never miss our deep dives into the science of natural health and longevity. And I would genuinely love to hear from you. Tell us where you're watching from by dropping your city or country in the comments below. Because this community is not just about information, it is about a shared curiosity, a global movement of people who believe that understanding our biology can help us live longer, healthier, and more vibrant lives. And the truth is, we are only just beginning to uncover what the human body is capable of.